Welcome, everybody, inside the coach's office. I'm your host, Dan Murphy, alongside my co-host, Brian Barnes. And Brian, we weren't able to go live last night, but we're live here tonight on a Monday night. And how you doing? How was your weekend?
Well, things are well. It's a great day. I'm getting used to the daylight savings thing again, and here in Michigan that people always debate and talk about. And I'm one who loves the sunshine later at night and the later sunsets. So it was a great day today. Beautiful weather. Just watching some World Baseball Classic USA get after it a little bit with a big third inning and up 5-0 against Mexico, and ready to talk sports with you.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit World Baseball Classic and some Tarik Skubal towards the end of the show, but want to start off with the big game from last night, yesterday. Michigan beats Michigan State 90-80. Really good basketball game. Two of the top 10 teams in the country. Michigan came in number 3, Michigan State number 8, and really great back and forth game. Chrysler Arena was one of the better atmospheres I've seen there in a long, long time. A lot of people are saying it was just, really great crowd. A lot of times you get Michigan State games at Chrysler. A lot of times Michigan State can take over. Michigan State fans can take over. That was not the case. And Michigan fans really showed out, provided a great atmosphere for a great game. And I really enjoyed it, man. I thought it was, I thought both teams really showed their best. Michigan was able to take control towards the end of the game, but Brian, what were your general thoughts coming out of this game? We'll get into all the Tom Izzo stuff and the press conference and all that little brother stuff after, but just the game itself, what were your thoughts coming out of it?
I think, we talked about this before with Michigan State. Like, wow, I think the last time we talked, we're like, gosh, they're 24-3 or whatever it was, and they're not even on the radar. They're a good basketball team, but I think it just goes to tell you, we talked about those teams that are at the elite level, and Michigan's one of those teams. And like you said, really good basketball game. But, Michigan State, while they've proven at times this season they can, score, Michigan just put up 90 on them. Yeah. And Michigan State, that's not their MO. And two really good teams. I think what I've noticed in this happened last year when we had the 4 number 1 seeds make the Final Four. I just think with the transfer portal and the NIL, there's a lot of teams that can get good, but I think the elite are at such an elite level that nobody's touching them. Our upset's going to happen in the early rounds with the lower seeds beating up, higher seeds, sure. But I think the days, and of course I could be wrong, but I think the days of a 7, 8, 9 seed making a run, I just don't think that's happening, because those guys end up, those great players that are on those teams end up on Michigan, like Lindenborg, and there's other examples throughout college basketball. So just a, fun basketball game. From a Michigan perspective, I mean, look, you're 29-2, and that's one of the best regular seasons in college basketball, regardless of, the type of roster you have, because of course there's going to be old school people and a lot of Michigan State people that say that's not right, the way to go or whatever, but still an amazing season for them. And Michigan State, they're probably going to be a 2 seed at 3 lowest, and going into this season, I think if you would have asked a lot of Michigan State fans, they would have taken it and been really excited about that. They're really good. They're really good too. It's just a weird year. And so they could go on a deep run and potentially could be a Final Four team, depending on the matchup. But I still think those top 4 teams, you think Michigan, Arizona, Duke, and the way Florida's playing the defending national champs, they have that pedigree and they're just on fire. Man, it's going to be tough to beat them. But yeah, good college basketball game. And, we talked about this, the weirdness about, bragging rights and college basketball, stuff like that. What if Michigan has an off day next week and Michigan State wins the Big Ten tournament?
Yeah, we talked about that. I think it was our last podcast we joked about it. I kind of, in a weird way, I kind of hope, as a podcaster, I hope it happens just because of the story.
We would have a lot of fun. We would. But, I still think the regular season means more than a
absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? But there are people that don't, because there's always I know not just Michigan fans, but I always felt like it was Michigan hearing that, oh, well, no, we're getting hot at the right time for the tournament. It's okay, then why play the regular season though? There has to be, playing 2 games and 3 games, in a week, there's got to be something to that. So either way, it's a way for, if somebody other than Michigan wins the Big Ten tournament next week, it's another way for a school to say, hey, bragging rights, we can hang this banner and help with recruiting or whatever it is they do. But there was a time I really liked conference tournaments. It doesn't do it for me anymore, unfortunately. So it reminds me of conference championship games in college football. Like, who's in, it doesn't really matter.
I think the conference tournaments are fun for the smaller conferences where, it's only one team from the conference is going to get in, and it's whoever wins that conference tournament, which
I think it's worse.
I could argue it probably should be whoever wins the regular season and should get in. But
I think it's worse. Like, and nobody talks about that. Like, we want to talk about, hey, like, the reason you want to expand the playoff all the time is because you want to give more opportunities for those smaller schools. Okay, well, like, what if Miami of Ohio has a bad shooting game and they're 30-1 and they don't get in that large bid? Like, granted, they're a bigger program than the middle, right? The mid-American conference or the smaller conferences, right?
The Horizon League.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. But like, that happens. Like, and I think it's funny in a way when you have a team that doesn't have a winning record, that gets hot for 4 days, and hey, look at us, we're great. Had a great year, we're in the tournament. Like, I don't know. I don't love it, but it is weird.
It's entertaining.
It's what it is entertaining. It is silly and quirky, but but is it fair? I don't want college football to ever be like that.
No, I agree.
I just don't. So.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
And I texted you yesterday, before the game. I'm like, man, maybe I'm just so, with everything that's going on politically and, baseball, I'm so focused on, maybe I just wasn't hearing it or seeing it, but it just didn't feel like there was a lot of buzz going into the game for a top 10 matchup in the last regular season game of the year.
Top 8 matchup.
Yeah. Rivalry. 3 versus 8. Yeah. I mean, it just didn't feel like there was a lot of buzz going into it. Like you think you would be, but it just goes back to, the regular season just doesn't, regular season college basketball, it just doesn't matter that much.
Well, not only that, and then let me just make a quick prediction. Like, I absolutely think Michigan State is going to dive deeper into the transfer portal this offseason. I do. I think they have to.
They got to, yeah.
He's just right. I mean, or yes, it has to be.
Even with having one of the top recruiting classes in the country, they got to add to it to do a
You need
portal.
22 and 23-year-olds to go up. Okay. Yes. That being said, like, I think Dusty May got the question about, like, what happened last year. Because remember, last year, Michigan State was the regular season Big Ten champs and swept Michigan. And, like, how Michigan turned it around or whatever, right? They're a completely different roster. Like, that's why they turned it around. And so I think there is a little bit of that, as much as, like, unless you go to the University of Michigan or you're a diehard Michigan fan who is going to support the team and be proud no matter what. I've talked to Michigan fans, and it'll happen to Michigan State, too, who are a little bit like, yeah, you're happy and it feels awesome, but like, there's still something weird about it, right? And so I think that led into a lot of it yesterday too.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about the non-basketball stuff that happened yesterday from this game, which I think is probably even more fascinating than the result. And it's Jeremy Fears once again kicking a player in the groin, doing the little back kick again, gets a technical foul. And then Izzo is interviewed, mid-game and basically just says, the microscope's on him, and, I wish it wasn't like this. And it's like, just again, we could really literally just replay the podcast that we did after the first game. It's the same scenario. Fears kicks the player in the groin. There's no accountability from Izzo. Izzo kind of just tries to shove it under the rug. And I don't know how many more times this has to happen. For one, for Izzo to take accountability for him and his player, and two, a suspension at some point has to be laid down. I mean, we're getting now into the tournament play and that. So I don't know if that's going to happen. But man, like, how many times can this kid do this before something's going to happen to him?
Yeah. I mean, one thing I've learned in the coaching profession is even in high school and my little bit at the college level, like we don't know as fans what goes on behind closed doors or what goes on in the program. Like, we only see what's put out there, right? So who knows if Tom Izzo is making him run stadium steps like all day today? Like, we don't know that. And coaches, to a fault, will defend their guys, right? That they defend their guys no matter what. That being said, I think if he would have just said, "Hey, Jeremy has to be better," right?
Yeah,
like that's
all it takes.
That's all he has to say. Like, hey, you know what? He's playing hard. He can't get caught up in the moment like that. Whatever that thing is, whatever, like he just has to be better. If he would just come out and say that, I think it would be people would receive it a lot better, because now what it seems like what it's going on this season, and I brought this up before, when they lost in East Lansing and there was that shot of him walking off the floor in the tunnel by himself, like it just feels like in a lot of ways he's losing his grip. And I know there'll be Michigan State fans that say, oh, this has happened before. He's had these years and he's been to X amount of Final Fours and whatnot. Like I get all that, and that's fine. But he hasn't been to the Final Four in a while. And I hate to tell everybody, a Final Four is still fourth place in college basketball. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not going to knock somebody for winning one national title because it's hard. Okay, 100% it's hard.
It was 26 years ago.
It was. There are a lot of programs that wish they were Michigan State. But 100%, I agree that, right? That being said, though, he realizes the landscape is changing. And so it'll be interesting to see what their strategy is this offseason, like what positions they target. Because, again, they don't have pure scorers on their roster. And I think that's their biggest flaw right now. And I'm not a huge basketball genius strategist when it comes to offense or defensive play. But when I talk to my basketball buddies, the one thing they say is that their offense is still kind of old school, right? And granted, it's a lot of pick and roll and Jeremy Fear making plays, stuff like that, right? But like there isn't a lot of diversity and the opportunities to drive and kick it out to a lot of scores. And
who are you gonna? I mean, who are you kicking it out to anyway?
But it's been like that. But it's been like that
to kick it to.
That's what I'm saying. But it's been like that for a long time. I feel like they're like I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like a long time. So, yeah, I think that's the unfortunate thing about all this. And again, this is a crazy part. They have 5 losses, I think, right now. Is it 5 or 6?
I think 6 now. Yeah.
Okay, let me like their schedule. 3 of those losses are to Michigan and Duke. So it's not like they're bad, right? Their only bad loss, in my opinion, is the Minnesota game. Like that's the only, and that was had to be an emotional letdown after playing Michigan. So it's like, no, are they falling off the cliff? No, but this has to be a realization that, dude, because who's to say like whether Michigan wins a national championship this year or not? Who's to say Michigan doesn't up the ante this offseason in the transfer portal again? Right? Like this doesn't mean Michigan.
Yeah, they're not stopping.
No,
this isn't a 1-year thing.
No, that's my point. Like that's my point. Like, no, like Michigan State has to match it or go beyond it to be like not just relevant, like to be national championship worthy. So,
but I mean, you mentioned losing his grip. I still go back to the recruiting class they have coming in. Like that's the hardest part is to recruit at that level and to be as consistent as Michigan State has been
so maybe
for as many years as they are. So all it would take is just a 1 or 2 high quality transfers, even just sharpshooters that are just 3-point specialists. Just a couple of those guys could make the difference between them being right at the level of Michigan and not.
They could be Michigan next year. Easily, right? They could be Michigan next year with the right transfers to mix with this group of guys. Because right now they're losing Kohler and Cooper for sure are the 2 senior starters that they're going to lose, right? And they'll probably lose a guy or 2 in the portal. Hopefully not guys that they're counting on. But like, yeah, they're returning a lot of production next year. And then, like you said, that recruiting class, and if you get 1 or 2, because like it's just the landscape of college athletics right now. Like, again, Indiana, well coached. We talked about that, fundamentally sound. But those dudes are also 3 years older than everybody. Yeah, and don't kid yourself. Don't like people can say, oh, it's only 2 or 3 years. A 23-year-old adult is still has like the 20-year-olds. We talked about Max Clark not even having his man muscles yet, right? Like there are 20-year-olds playing college basketball who physically cannot match up to those guys on Michigan.
You look at Landenberg from Michigan.
Right.
I mean, he's a
freak.
It's unreal.
It's not even a debate that he's the Big Ten college basketball player of the year. Like, how's that even a debate? Like, he's the best player on the best team.
I think he proved it. I mean, he had an MVP caliber game last night.
I think, yeah, no question. So, I don't know. I mean, back to the original question about Izzo. It's unfortunate. Like I said, because you look at the other side because everybody's talking about the Michigan State aspect. You look at the other side, Dusty May, even last year, like he may have said some stuff, but I mean, he's calm, right? He doesn't come off like he's complaining and things aren't fair. And, people see Izzo on the sideline and, hey, he's a whiny whatever too, right? Like that, unfortunately, adds up. And it's a tough spot. It's a tough spot to be in. Now, it's funny. Like, what happens if they win the Big Ten tournament next week, make a deep run, regardless of what Michigan does? Like, Michigan State fans, I think, are feeling good about their season. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm looking forward to the Big Ten tournament more than I have in quite a while, because I think Michigan State has a chance to kind of prove that they're still one of the top 10 teams in the country.
Yeah, there were a few. Yeah, like
they're Michigan so overshadowed by Michigan.
That's what I mean. It's
but
weird.
They're still having a great year.
I know. So Michigan made 9 more free throws than State yesterday and attempted 10 more. So it's like it's not in the 2 games. Like, Michigan's better, and I've said that. But it's not like one is really bad and one is not, right? It's pretty close. And who knows? They were really close. I mean, both games, and now they're going neutral court, neutral site. Like, who knows?
Possibly.
Hard to beat. Yeah, hard to beat a team 3 times. So who knows?
It feels like those were watching that game last night, though. It felt like those were the 2 best teams in the Big Ten.
Oh yeah, I agree with that.
Mm-hmm. You never know what's going to happen in the Big Ten tournament, but if they will take care of business, they could very well be playing each other again for the championship next Sunday.
Let me ask you this, because again, this is why I've always liked college football better than college basketball. The postseason structure. Okay, let's say Michigan State gets a great matchup and they go to the Final Four. Michigan maybe has to play Houston in the Elite 8, who national title pedigree, whatever, and lose and gets upset. Who has the better season?
Michigan State.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Of course it's Michigan State.
I don't like that. I guess I just don't like that. Like, I don't like it. I don't like
That's how college football is now, man.
I know it is, and I don't like it either. It's like, I don't like it either. So, yeah, I don't
look at 2 years ago, Oregon and Ohio State. Oregon wins the Big Ten title. Ohio State doesn't even play in the Big Ten title game. They play each other at a neutral site, Rose Bowl. Ohio State dominates them.
Yeah.
Oregon, it looks like you feel like Oregon had a bad season. They won the Big Ten.
I know.
That's college football now.
That's insane.
It's worse.
Yeah, man. It's weird. It's weird.
You talked about maybe Tom Izzo losing his grip. I don't know if he's lost his grip, but he's definitely cannot handle losing to Michigan.
No.
There's no question about that. He cannot handle Michigan being the top team in the state, cannot handle getting swept in the regular season, losing both matchups. And man, did it show in the press conference. This was an all-timer from Tom Izzo, and a quote that I think is going to live for many, many years within this rivalry. So here we go. This was Tom Izzo immediately after the game.
Guess the crowd didn't watch the game because I'm nobody's damn little brother, and neither is my team. I'm really proud of my team, how they played and what they did. I give Michigan a lot of credit. They shot the daylights out of it, especially Axel. They shot 40-some% from the 3, and they took 100 free throws. That was the difference in the game. We made some boneheaded plays where we didn't step up on ball screens, let them get downhill. And we made some uncharacteristic fouling a guy and things like that. But probably was a hell of a basketball game to watch. And I ain't taking a backseat to nobody. I don't care what they've done and what they've done. They've deserved what they got. 29-2 and deserve every bit of it. But we deserve what we got, and we will get better because I won't make some of those same ball screen mistakes we get in the games. I think it was a 4-point game, and we gave up about 3 offensive rebounds, which we had more than they did, and they scored on them twice, and that was really the difference in the game. So I'm not into there's no moral victories. I'm at Michigan State, no matter what those people think. Have we done it longer and better than most? So there's no moral victory, but I'm proud of them because I thought we played with them in every way, shape, or form. They made a couple of big plays. We didn't. We had 2 shots that went in and out. One was a 5-6 point game, one by Coop, one by Co. And give them credit, and I give us credit. It's a hell of a basketball game. They've had a hell of a year. We've had a hell of a year. Theirs has been a little better. Questions, I'll take them.
Man, there's quite a few gems in there. I like what he's trying to give credit to Yaxel. He's like, they had a great shooting game, especially Yaxel. Just, oh my goodness, Tom Izzo, man, just so whiny, so just like every time he tries to give Michigan credit, it's like so painful for him to do it, and saying, Michigan had 100 free throws, and just I mean, all of it, but especially the first quote, "I'm nobody's damn little brother, and nobody is my team." It's like even as a Michigan fan, like I'm so done with the little brother stuff, the little brother comments. But then Izzo comes out and starts a statement with that. It just brings it right back up again. He's just bringing it on to himself. Like they're going to constantly chant that at him now. And we should mention that at the end of the game, when the game was over, the crowd was chanting "little brother" at Michigan State, and that's what got Tom Izzo so upset. But to come out into the press conference and then to bring it to light, now it's just everywhere, and everybody's talking about it. Like, I don't know, man. What were your thoughts after seeing that Tom Izzo press conference?
So, admittedly, I grew up. I'm more of a Michigan State fan than a Michigan fan. Right. As I get older, I don't care as much. But I think we talked about it on after the first game in East Lansing when the student section at Michigan State was yelling "fuck you, Dusty," right? And I get it. It's college sports. The rivalry's cool. Things are going to be chanted. So I mean, like, I guess to have him whine about being called little brother, like that's what got to you. Like,
he was so angry in the press conference. It was a great game. You've had a great season. You lost, but it wasn't like a question was brought up to him that got him fired up. He was just like fired zone right at the beginning of the press conference.
A bunch of 20-year-olds called you little brother, and you got that fired up. Yeah. Like, I don't know. I sent a text to some relatives who are Michigan State graduates and fans, and I'm like, the more he opens his mouth, the more I lose respect for him. It's unfortunate. Like, the amount of accomplishments. There are a lot of programs, like he said, that would wish they were Michigan State and what they've accomplished. It's just a bad look, man. It's just a bad look. Like, is he saying it to fire up his kids? Is he saying it to make sure the fan base and the donors think that he still has it? He's still he's still motivated. Like, I don't know. You don't even have to go there. Like, it's not necessary. And like, they shot about 100 free throws. Yeah. And I guarantee there are games where he's coached that they've won where Michigan State has had a lot more free throws than Michigan, because that's just the sport of basketball, and it's sometimes stupid. You know what I'm saying? Not a good look. Like, not a good look.
Yeah. I'm nobody's damn little brother.
No.
It's that quote, man. It's gonna last forever.
It's just
because every time he goes to Chrysler, they're gonna get it now.
Because there's been times in his career. I mean, it hasn't happened often or in a while. I think the last one was 2014, where Michigan swept Michigan State during the regular season, and Michigan has played in national championship games, like 2 of them, in the last 10 years. Like, I don't know what it is about lately that he feels like. That's why I said not losing it. He still got it because the recruiting class is awesome, first or second, depending on what website you look at. But I just feel like it feels like he knows it's slipping away if they don't buy into the current landscape of college sports. And that just is another reminder. That's just another reminder. Like, he doesn't like the way Dusty May is doing it. And he's showing it in his frustrations by letting all that stuff get to him. Yeah. Like, he knows it. I know we just said, if Michigan State, the recruiting class, right? And you said he still got it. If they return next year, if they go into next college basketball season with a similar roster with not a lot of impact, high-level transfers, the exact same thing is going to happen next year. The exact same thing. I truly believe that now. I truly believe it now. Michigan is all in, and to their credit, they're all in. Like, you have to be – we've talked about that before, teams and schools. Like, if you're not all in, you better not be in at all. Like, what's the point? Like, you're just going to be wasting money. Like, if you know what I mean? Like, Indiana football has put everybody on notice. Like, if you're not all in, you're wasting everybody's time.
Yeah, and it just goes to show you, I mean, a team that can go all in, a team that's been garbage pretty much their entire existence. I mean, 100 years of Indiana football was, I mean, there was nothing there to look at. And then all of a sudden, man, they decide to go all in. They get a great coach, and bam, they're one of the, national champion, 16-0 national champion. Just unbelievable. So, but no, I mean, it goes back to show you that, like, yeah, it's going to take a couple transfers next year. They're going to have to change their ways a little bit. It's not like drastic. I mean, they just need to, make a little tweak and be just, adapt to the times a little bit, because I go back to him, and he can recruit. He still can recruit. They still are Michigan State. And, I think they're going to have a deep run. I think this, like I said, this Big Ten tournament, I think it's going to be very interesting. Michigan and Michigan State will start their play on Friday. The way the Big Ten tournament is now, because there's so many freaking teams in it, you got all these, play-in games. Michigan, the top 4 teams have double byes. So anyways, long story short, Michigan and Michigan State both start their play on Friday. And if they take care of business Friday and Saturday, we could be looking Sunday nights. Would it be 4:00 Sunday? Michigan State could be playing for the championship, and that's what we all want to see. Round 3 of Michigan State would be awesome to see, but we'll see what happens. But a lot going on today, Brian. Free agency is the non-tampering period, or whatever you want to call it, has begun. Can't technically sign guys, but a lot of agreements have been made, and very interesting day for the Detroit Lions. And I'm going to pull this up here, Brian. You can see the additions and the losses over the last week, including the trade of David Montgomery, which you had talked about in a video that you did a few days back when that trade went down. Taylor Decker was granted his release, which we were both a bit surprised by. Graham Glasgow is gone. Alex Anzalone is gone. Amik Robertson's gone. A lot of those guys, Brian, that were well, we can just start with this. Those are a lot of guys that were here from the beginning. That kind of helped, lay the groundwork and build the foundation of what this team has been, 4 straight winning seasons. And to see a lot of these guys leave, what do you think that says? Do you think this is just the case that this is how the NFL works? Guys get towards their late 20s, in some cases early 30s, like that's, guys are going to leave. That's just it. You gotta go younger at times. Or do you think this is a case of, hey, maybe there is some cracks in this culture and this foundation, and maybe things are not what we, hope to see under Dan Campbell? Because you see Taylor Decker asking for his release, David Montgomery asking for a trade. It does have you asking some questions. What do you think, Brian? Just looking at the losses of what they've lost so far. What do you think?
Yeah, you forgot or in this graphic they didn't also mention the Lions got a 5th round compensatory pick as well. So Dan, it's not a total lock. They got that going too. But no, I mean, on the surface, like those are all guys that like you said have been big contributors. In this turnaround. And, one, you could make the case like, okay, let's look at it realistically. Like David Montgomery was splitting carries, and every time he touched the ball, Jahmyr Gibbs wasn't. Like we had talked about that as much as we like Demo. Decker and Glasgow getting toward the end of their careers, right? They might sign a 1-year deal somewhere if, a cap-friendly contract with a contender maybe. Anzalone, we kind of knew from the beginning of the season. I remember in preseason when he had talked about that. The one that Amik Robinson, because they had so many issues in the secondary and depth and guys banged up. Like we had talked about that. Like that one stands out to me really more than any of them, as crazy as it sounds, even though I don't think he's the biggest name. But if the Lions are done right here, then it's obviously a problem. But Cade Mays, I did some research. Like, he was really good in pass protection as a center, and we had talked about like center being, one of the positions that is the most important position that they, needed to do, right, along with the edge rusher. And the other Borum and Scruggs, like, offensive line guys add depth. Borum, a little bit better than Scruggs, according to everything I've read and listened to. So, if this is it, again, it's only day one.
This isn't
this is it.
But...
This can't be it. So I don't think the sky is falling. I think, like you said, I think it is the status of the NFL. Now, the question remains, and what everybody's wondering is, will Brad Holmes make that big hire, or is it just or that big signing, or is it just going to be, kind of what he's done before, just hire young guys that, might be a little cheaper, that you can develop and plug and play, and at positions that I don't want to say aren't key, because of course they're key, but like you can't be great at every position. Like, you just can't. It's not possible financially. So can they plug them in with young guys that will contribute? And we talked about this before. They haven't had a really good draft these last couple go rounds, and like this year is critical that they have a really big draft. So now it'll be interesting to see. There's 3 linemen on that graphic that they've added. Does this change what they do with that first round pick? Because a lot of the mocks saw them taking a lot of linemen.
So I think if they don't get a tackle,
you
can't have be their starting tackle.
No, I agree.
I would assume Sewell will move to the left side.
Yeah,
I think that's
the natural.
I think that's pretty. Yeah, that seems pretty obvious. I would think at this point. And I hate to draft a right tackle and at 17, like maybe they trade up to try to get the best tackle available. Like, if you're gonna like I always go back. So with the Lions, I mean, everything goes back to their offensive line. They have to have a strong offensive line. They depend on having a strong run game. Goff is, a lot of his best work is off play action when the running game's going. Like, he needs to be protected because he's not mobile. Like, the Lions have to have a great offensive line to be good, because otherwise the rest of the talent doesn't get the ball, because he can't get the ball to him because Goff's constantly under pressure, or Gibbs has got a guy right in his face who he gets a handoff, which we saw a ton of last year.
Yeah,
like, so it's concerning that they weren't able to get some of the top guys. I always said the center out of Baltimore, like he's like $27 million a year with the Raiders. His Raiders had like an insane amount of cap, like $120 million, something like that. So they just gave him an absurd contract because they know they're going to have a rookie quarterback, which was good on him. I mean, it's a smart move on their part, even if it is an overpay. It's a good start to a rebuild. This is getting one of the best centers in football, but that obviously took him off the market from the Lions, and they made a cheaper move and got Cade Mays, who's he's a starter. He's a starting center with experience, but he's definitely not an elite center.
Sure.
I think he was PFF had him. I think he was 33rd for centers for run blocking, and I think it was 6th or 7th for pass blocking.
Yeah, I think it was his pass pro was his better, but
but that could be too. I don't know what Carolina's run scheme is compared to the Lions. So that could play a factor too. That led to the Lions to get him. Maybe he fits a little bit better in the Lions scheme. We'll see. We'll see when they Brad Holmes and maybe Dan Campbell come and talk about him, but to see where he kind of fits and why they went out and got him. But this isn't an elite free agent by any means. It fills a spot. That's about it. And I'm still concerned, man. You're still looking at, you're going to need a right tackle, and if it's going to be a rookie, or depending on a rookie to be a standout, like, it's tough, man.
Mm-hmm. It is. I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, there's a long ways to go. The NFL drafts and potential trades and moves that Brad Holmes could do, but I'm with you on the surface, because we're all and maybe it's because look at that.
Yeah, this was jump in real quick. This was Jeremy Reisman put down the current needs for the Lions, and we can run right down the list here. They need a backup quarterback, because Kyle Allen left. Running back 2, David Montgomery. Tight end 3, left tackle obviously is huge. A couple defensive ends, a starter and a backup. They need another nose tackle. They need an outside linebacker to replace Anzalone. They need a nickel corner to replace Robertson, and then it just puts safety as question mark because right now, who knows when Kirby Joseph and what's the other safety? Oh my God,
Branch.
Brian
Yep.
Branch. Who knows when Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph are going to be back? If at all, I hate to say that, especially with Kirby Joseph's case. We don't know what the case is with his knee injury. And when he'll be back, we know Branch is going to be a while with the Achilles. And even if he does come back, is he going to be anywhere near the player that he was?
No.
So there's a lot of questions there. And then corny, Terry and Arnold. We haven't even talked about Terry and Arnold and all the things going on legally. What's going to go on there? And even if he is, free and clear and he comes back, it's not like he's lit the world on fire since he's been a Detroit Lion. So there's a lot of concerns, Brian. I don't know, man. Like I originally, going into the offseason, I didn't feel as concerned, but now as it's kind of playing itself out, and I know it's early, it's only the first day, and maybe they'll go out and get some guys, but I don't know, man. I'm starting to feel a little bit worried about where the roster is right now.
A couple things I would say is, with Terry and Arnold, in his defense, like historically, cornerback has been one of those positions where guys, like it takes some time to adjust to the NFL. Like, and you're covering like the elite of the elite receivers, right? And he's going into year 3 now. Year three.
Yes.
So you're thinking by now, you're hoping he's not Jeff Okudah, right? You're hoping he's developed a little bit more than that. So there's that. But and then the other part is, do the Lions restructure Jared Goff's contract? Like, does that open up cap space, or do they go to some other guys and restructure things? Because there are still good players available, and you want to still re-sign Muhammad, their edge. He's a little bit older, but the Lions liked him, and he contributed. And then again, Trey Hendrickson is the guy. He's still at the top of the list, and he's 31. But like, is he looking for a shot? Like maybe a short-term contract to go get a Super Bowl ring? So I mean. That being said, though, that still doesn't make up for a lot of those other issues and problems.
Well, that's the thing. The restructuring of those contracts, you thought it would have happened before today.
You thought it would have happened. You thought it would have happened today. You hoped it would have happened today. I'm with you.
So that's concerning as well, because if they don't restructure some contracts, especially Goff's, they're not going to have the money to go out and make any type of splash. Like a Hendrickson's not even going to be an option. No, if they don't restructure some of these deals. If I
had to wager, like here's the frustrating part about being a Lions fan right now. Like Kansas City just went and signed the Super Bowl MVP, and Kenneth Walker III, right? Like I don't think the Lions are making a big splash. I think all of these are going to be second tier, fits, and then rely on the guys that they have. Like we talk about, like you and I talked about how the Tigers window, we kind of felt like their championship roster is still like a year or two potentially away. I think the Lions are, I think they've already had it, and we've talked about that. We talked about that, and that's
well, bad. What's killing them is both Kirby Joseph and Ali McNeil. Yeah. They sign the long-term contracts and immediately have serious injuries.
Yes. Yeah, no doubt.
And we'll see if McNeil can bounce back. There's some footage of him working out and that. You always see that stuff this time. You're best shape of your life. Of
course.
But you hope that McNeil can get back to what he was, because he just wasn't last season. He wasn't. He came back. He tried to come back, but he was a shell of what he was. Mm-hmm. If he could now having a full off season to train and get back, like if he can be the player that he was, 2 years ago, that can be a huge difference.
Do you think they're going to regret giving big money to Jameson Williams and extending him so early? I kind of think they are. Like there's a lot of ways. Like, the Seahawks had Jackson Smith and Jigba. The Patriots' best receiver this year was it Stephon Diggs? Like, I don't know, who got released. Like, you don't need 2 number 1 receivers to be really good. And I question that.
That's the whole other thing that we talked about throughout the season is how they utilize JMO and
Yeah.
We thought
Well,
they could have done a better job getting him the ball and screens and end arounds, reverses, those type of things. And we thought a lot of that just left the playbook, especially in the second half of the year. We couldn't really understand it.
Yeah.
But if you're going to give that guy an extension like that, you got to find ways to use them. Like you got to be creative. And we thought a lot of the creativity was gone last season. Whether it was that Ben Johnson, whether it was just a case the offensive line wasn't good enough for them that they felt comfortable kind of getting creative because they didn't think they were going to have the time to let those plays develop. I don't know. But they definitely, if they're going to pay those guys that money, they got to find ways to get them the ball. And they got to, and that's still a little bit fascinating to me, though, was the JMO situation and giving him that extension, but also trading up and using draft capital to get Tesla.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't really, it doesn't add up to me. Like, why did they do that? It made no sense. Tesla was hardly used last year.
No, I know. Like, well, that's also a position. I know I'm maybe sound like, how are you defending this? Like, that is a position that historically, even though the last like 5-7 years, that position has really blown up early on in guys' careers, right? That's still a position historically. Like, I remember Herman Moore with the Lions. I think like his first 2 years had like 20 catches combined. But that being said, like when you trade up, for that position, you want to get a little more out of it. And the funny thing is, you've mentioned who knows what to believe anymore and what's real and what's not. I saw the Lions listed as a possible fit for Naylor, the receiver from the Vikings, and I'm like, I hope not. Like, I mean, like, are you telling me they really need another receiver? Like, I mean, no, I don't know if I believe that, but I don't know, man. You wish as a fan, because it's fun you wish these guys would make a big splash. But again, if Brad Holmes, if we have a draft like we did, with the Jahmyr Gibbs, Brian Branch year, Jack Campbell year, like they're gonna be all right. But that's asking a lot.
Yeah,
there's
a lot. The last couple of years have not been good drafts, and that's what's killing them now. Because you're seeing these guys, as we talked about, all the losses, like those draft picks, the second, third, fourth, fifth round picks over the last couple of years. Those are the guys that should be stepping in now to those spots, and they're not there. Like they don't have anything there. They don't have anybody to step into those spots. Like you've seen, like the Rams and the Eagles being able to do, even when they've had, both teams have had down years, but they rebounded quickly because they drafted so well that they were able to replenish at key spots when guys had to move on because they couldn't afford to pay them. And you're seeing what the Lions now, like the bad drafts the past couple of years are really coming to rear their ugly head right now.
Jahmyr, by the way, for what it's worth, Jahmyr Gibbs had more receptions than Jameson Williams did a year ago. And I know Jameson Williams is the downfield threat and things like that, but that's still one that I'm not going to say haunts me, but I just question.
Well, to me, again, and we can kind of wrap it up with this with the Lions, it goes back to the offensive line, because if Goff doesn't have the time, you can't get the ball down the field to Shemo.
Another prediction, I think this is his last year as Lions quarterback.
Well, wait, what makes you say that?
Do
you think that's why they haven't restructured his deal?
I think that's possible. I don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl. I don't think they're going to be in the NFC Championship game. Who knows if they they didn't make the playoffs. And right now, again, nothing has happened. It's still way early, but they're not better than they were a year ago. The only thing that's better is the schedule, right? Well, those other teams are going to get better too. So like, who knows? Like health comes into play and all that stuff. And maybe it's just a hunch. That I think this is his last year.
Yeah, I don't. I think Goff's going to be the quarterback for a very long time. I'm going to disagree with you there. We'll have to put a friendly wager on that one. But
that would be a fun debate. Like maybe next show, I'd like to have a good discussion and debate as to why. Let's have a discussion on our next show. That'll be a fun one.
Yeah. Well, the Goff debate. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we've had the Goff debate many a times. But.
We've had the Goff debate many a time.
Well, another big story in Detroit area was, and really kind of nationally, is the World Baseball Classic. And a big topic locally and nationally as well has been the use of Tarik Skubal. And Skubal kind of being half put 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Wanted to pitch one game. Only, he wanted his max to be 55 pitches. He ended up pitching, I think, 41 pitches in that game against Great Britain. And then they interviewed him, after he was pulled from the game. I think he went 3 innings. And then he was very emotional. He didn't want to give an answer that this would be his only game that he would pitch. And then it came out the next day that he was really thinking about trying to get another start. And he's going to talk with the Tigers. And AJ Hinch came out. They interviewed AJ Hinch, and he's, puts him in a tough spot because he doesn't want to come out and say, yeah, absolutely not. Or yeah, absolutely. Let's give him another start in the WBC, because they've already made plans. And it's kind of my frustration is they had already planned out. The Tigers and Skubal had planned, okay, you're going to pitch the one game, and then you're going to come back to Lakeland, and we got a whole plan set up you to get you ready for opening day. And then he gets wishy-washy again and starts talking about how maybe he wants to get another start. And then it was the big thing, he was going to make his decision tonight whether he's going to pitch another game or not.
Right.
And I don't know, Brian. I want to get how you feel about just this with Skubal, and it just feels like it's just another case where it's drama, and it's just, I don't know, man. I'm wondering if the PR, because originally it was all, the Tigers are cheap, the Tigers are this and that, and everybody was about Skubal. I feel like it started with the playoffs game in Game 5 at the LDS when he came out after 99 pitches, didn't give him another inning. I think they were starting to get Skubal was starting to get a little heat. And now, again, you're seeing it again with this. So only wanted to go 55 pitches, only pitch one game. I think Skubal's starting to get a little bad press, get a little heat. Well, what do you think about this whole situation, Brian, with the World Baseball Classic and Tarik Skubal?
Well, I love the World Baseball Classic, as we mentioned at the top, man. I'm into it, watching a lot of games that otherwise I wouldn't be watching. But let's take away for now. Let's forget the fact that Tarik Skubal makes more money than we can imagine as it is, right? He's going to be able to right now, his relatives 100 years from now aren't going to have to pay for college because he's made that much money already. That being said, it's not our career, and it's not our health, and it's not our potential next contract right now. It's his. And as much as we would love to see him play and pitch in this tournament, he doesn't owe it to anybody. He doesn't owe it to us. People might disagree, obviously, as we see the graphic here. We got some disagreements, but it's not for us to say. If he was in year 2 of a 5-year contract, we're not having this conversation, and it's not an issue. And it's just the reality of what it is. And I don't blame him or hold on any ill will to him at all. And I don't think it's fair for anybody to criticize him or bash him in this regard. Because listen, the most important thing as a Tiger fan right now, what is the most important thing?
Oh, this season, the 2026 Tiger season.
Of course, right? So we don't want him. I don't want him. I mean, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me one way or another.
Well, a friend of the show, former guest on this podcast, Ben Bosher, put out this tweet. This was the night of Skubal's start against Great Britain. But loser activity from Tarik Skubal. Expected to throw 55 pitches today against the worst team in pool play. Then he's done representing Team USA and heads back to Lakeland. Take this half in, half out nonsense elsewhere. For someone labeled a psycho competitor, this is lame. And originally, I didn't agree with Ben's take because this was going into the game. And because I like you mentioned, what's the most important thing? The 2026 Tiger season, right? It's all about that. And I thought, okay, this is the plan. He wanted to try to do both. He wanted to do what was necessary for himself to get ready for the Tiger season, but he also wanted the opportunity to play in the World Baseball Classic and to represent the United States. I'm like, okay, all right, this is what you want to do. Pitch one game and you're back. All right. Because again, the most important thing is the Tigers. But then to have an interview after he comes out and just to be so wishy-washy about it, and then again, once again, he puts the Tigers in a tough spot. And Hinch is getting interviewed, and he's got to try to play both sides because he doesn't want to hurt Skubal's feelings, but he also knows. I'm sure was pretty annoyed by the whole thing. And it's just, I don't know, man. It just seems like there's a lot of drama around Skubal, whether it was the arbitration, whether it was, coming out early in game 5 of the LDS. it's just stuff that you wouldn't hear this, with some of the top pitchers in baseball. Like there just seems to be a lot around him right now that shouldn't be.
A month from now, nobody's going to care that he didn't pitch in the World Baseball Classic. Nobody's going to care. If Cade Cunningham played a quarter of an Olympic game and decided, no, I'm not doing it, nobody's going to care. It's great, and I love watching this entertainment, and I love it. USA. In a month, nobody's going to care. When he's pitching, when he's a starting pitcher in the All-Star game, like nobody's going to care that this happened. You know what I'm saying? They're going to still be, pay the man, give him his money. He's got to stay in Detroit.
When people are going to care is when the playoffs come back around. How deep is he going to go into games?
That's a different. I agree with you. That's what it'll be around. Yeah, that I totally agree. Don't take yourself out after 7. Yeah, I agree. I wonder if it'll be a situation when we get to that point where, do you remember Grant Hill before he left the Pistons and he was in that playoff series against Miami and he was playing on a stress fracture or something, and then he ended up signing with Orlando in the sign and trade and missed. I might have missed the entire season, but I know it was a lot of the season. And but he was like, no, I'm playing through it no matter what in this playoff series. It'll be interesting to see if Skubal in his mind knows like he's leaving. Like how deep is he willing to go? Is he going to go, 110 pitches and it's game 7? You know what I mean? Like that'll be pretty wild. But to back to it, Dan, this doesn't bother me. It'll bother, like you said, if that will bother me when it's September, October, and the Tigers are like going to be right there. Is he the guy?
Well, he did announce tonight that he's not pitching.
Yep.
He's not going to have a second start. I wonder how much of that was his decision, how much of that was the Tigers trying to push it, how much of it was Scott Boras. I think a lot of that goes back to Boras.
Sure.
I think he's in Skubal's head more than he probably should be. And I think it's affecting a lot of things because not only is Boras, trying to push Skubal to be, highest paid pitcher of all time going into free agency, but also Skubal is high up in, Players Association or Players Union. So that's a big part of it too. So, and it's just interesting, it's just another, talking point around Skubal that's not, directly to Tigers baseball, like him just out there pitching, which is it's just a little frustrating, I guess.
It is. I think it bothers me. Like I like Ben and he does a great job with what he does, but like I'm sure Ben's going to be cheering for him opening day.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying? Game 7. Like so don't even. I don't know. Don't even put this stuff out. Like I don't know, but.
It was I was surprised by how aggressive Ben was with that take.
So was I.
But he is annoyed. He's annoyed by the half in, half out, and I kind of understand it. But it is a little.
It's still an exhibition. Like it's great.
It doesn't feel like an exhibition though, man.
No, it doesn't. No, and like the Olympics, it was really cool too. Like with Olympic hockey, USA. Like I get it. That's great. But like, who got banged up? Didn't Sidney Crosby get hurt during that? Right? Like I'm sure Pittsburgh's like, that silver medal was worth it. Like I don't know. It's still an exhibition. It's great. It's cool, but it doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
Doesn't bother me.
Another week of spring training. And again, I asked you this our last show, but has anything stood out since then? Anything jumped out from you from Tigers spring training?
It's still like we saw the first roster moves today. Max Clark went back to the minor league camp, and not a surprise. Still, no, Kevin McGonigal just still. I think he hit another home run today.
Yeah.
Like he's going to be the opening day shortstop. That's my prediction. I think the one thing that still has bothered me, the guy that I talked about a lot, is Parker Meadows.
Yeah.
And I know it's spring training, but he was hitting like 94. At one point. But his defense, I guess his defensive metrics. I was reading our buddy Roger.
Roger put that tweet out.
Had a good piece. Yeah. So it's like. I guess that's a bummer. Matt Vierling still getting more at bats.
He's hitting, he's hitting like crazy. He's having a great spring.
He's your guy. Yep. So a lot of.
Those are the three that I've had my eye on since the beginning. Meadows, Vierling, and McGonigal to see where they're at. And McGonigal, I think, is going to earn that spot unless he has like a couple of errors or something at shortstop. It looks uncomfortable at shortstop for whatever reason over these next couple of weeks. But the fact that he hasn't been sent back to the minor league camp, like I think that he's he's proven that he can take that starting shortstop spot and run with it. I think he's earned it. I think he's gonna get it.
So when you watch spring training games and you see a guy wearing like number 91 or something, and know he right, okay, and he just physically doesn't look like it. There are a lot of non-roster invitees and a lot of young players like Max Clark who he still looked athletic, but to me he still looked like a kid. Right? He did.
He still looks like a double-A player.
He still looks like a double-A player, which is nothing wrong with that, right?
No.
Kevin McGonigal, though, he's out there, and some of those plays he made and like some of that exit velocity on his hits,
the bomb he hit in the first pitch.
He's a major league shortstop right now. He's a major league player, which is fast. That's great for the Tigers. Like you hammered on this a lot. They added a bat. From without going outside the organization. Yeah. It looks like they've added an impact bat.
And then, with Meadows, just to go back on it, I think you mentioned he's been 92 or whatever.
Yeah.
But we said, Roger mentioned that his defensive metrics are off the charts. Mm-hmm. So could he be a guy that is like the 26th guy on the roster, where he's more, a defensive replacement, or, if he is starting, he's batting ninth.
Yeah.
And you put him in there just for his defense, and maybe he can get on base. And if he can get on base, and he can create havoc because he's got speed.
Yeah.
It's going to be a question. Do you keep him or do you keep Wenzel Perez?
Which
I've said since the beginning, I think he'll be the odd man out. But Meadows has had such a bad spring hitting wise.
Yeah.
It's going to be a battle. So,
and Meadows he's what, almost 27. I mean, he's getting to that point where he's not a prospect anymore. Obviously, right? And he's not a young guy. There's not a lot of development left that's going to happen for him.
I saw something. I didn't get a chance to fact check it completely, but I believe Perez, if they send him down and he's down there for like a month, they get an extra year of service time for him.
Oh, okay. Well,
so that could be a difference too between him and Meadows.
Yeah. Yes.
Especially if it's kind of a tiebreaker and they
for sure
something to look at, but
for sure.
I know between the two, even with Meadows sitting poorly, I'd throw there at Meadows, man. And I could, if McGonigal's the everyday shortstop, where does that put Baez?
He's your everyday.
I think Baez might be the starting center fielder.
Yeah.
He may be platoon at times with Meadows, but
I saw
some different options.
Yeah, I saw a tweet and. I can't remember who it was, but talking about Kerry Carpenter and his situation, like he can't be an everyday right fielder; he'll break down. And so, is he your full-time DH? Well, then that limits your lineup in your roster because unless, like, we still think I wonder if there's still going to be a trade. Like we talked about, you can't keep all those guys, and you're running out of years with those guys. Like what? It's I don't know.
There's got to be a trade at some point, or they just, they hoard all these guys until the trade deadline. But we talked about with Roger when he was on, like they got so many of these guys that are just like third baseman, second baseman, but they're not great third baseman or second baseman.
Right.
But they're pretty good hitters, but not great hitters. Like the Max Andersons, the Hardy Lees, like. They got a bunch of these guys.
It was like for years.
Got to unload some of them at some point.
When all they had was it felt like DH and first baseman types, and you have nowhere to put them. And I agree.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
A couple more weeks, and they'll start the season. Is it 26th or 27th?
Yeah, in San Diego.
Thursday. Yeah, in San Diego.
Be here before you know it. Less than a month.
It's felt like baseball weather around here too. Which has been so great.
Helped a lot. Helps a lot.
Heading towards the end here, Brian, just real quick, just want to bring up the Pistons. We're not going to get too in depth, but just want to get your thoughts on this real quick. They're in a 4-game losing streak, really their first slump of the season.
Yeah.
Some of the teams are starting to creep up now. I see in Boston, I think last I saw they were 2.5 back, and that's the team that I'm the most concerned about. Is Boston, especially if Tatum comes back. That's scary. It's big time scary. But what are your thoughts, Brian? Just, a 4-game slump. Is this just a case of, hey, it's the dog days of the NBA? The Pistons, they're a team that doesn't do load management. They're a team that plays, balls to the wall every night. Maybe they're just, getting a little bit tired, a little bit worn down a little bit, and it's the dog days of the season, and they're in a little bit of a slump. And they're going to get right out of it, or is this a sign that they're starting to show some of the flaws that could hurt them come the playoff time?
No, I mean they definitely have lost to a few really good teams, right? And although blowing the lead to New Jersey and then losing
Brooklyn,
like
you're showing your age, right? Brooklyn Nets.
oh my gosh, I said New Jersey. Oh my goodness, the Nets. Fine, sorry, just the Net. You're right. They lost to Brooklyn, and the Heat are still in Miami, right? I can say that.
Yes.
Okay, I can't screw that one up. So yeah, yeah, and giving up 121 to them, yeah, not great, obviously. So, but is it? It's still as good as they are and as good as they've been. Like they're still a younger team growing and developing. So no, I don't think it's a terrible cause for concern. It'll be a cause if this 4-game losing streak turns into a 7 or
6, 7,
right? And then you're like, are they going to get out? Because then at that point, Boston will probably overtake them for the 1 seed. Although I don't know how much the 1 seed in the NBA or basketball in general is, that big.
No, but it's just kind of a sign that like,
it is.
Yeah, maybe they're not the dominant team that we were kind of hoping that they might be. And you're seeing Boston getting healthy. And man, if Tatum comes back and he's 80% of what the player that he can be, I think that's going to be big trouble.
For sure.
Big trouble for the Pistons.
Yeah. Well,
one thing that does concern me though, Brian, was the Miami game, because after the Brooklyn game, Bickerstaff kind of challenged them, a bit, and said like you disrespected the game of basketball by how you finished that Brooklyn game, and then they come out against Miami and get smoked. That is a little bit concerning when your coach kind of calls you out and you playing 24 hours later and you lay an egg again. It's a little bit concerning, man.
It is. The Pistons have a chance. They go, to Brooklyn to make amends for blowing that big lead, and then they're home against Philadelphia and Memphis. So I mean, there's a chance who you know what I'm saying, they could easily be back in have a 3-game win streak and everybody's okay and feeling good about things. But every team goes through it. Like we talk about that in every sport. Every team goes through it. And this is the first time all year the Pistons have gone through it. So am I overly concerned? No, I'm like you said, I'm more concerned with Boston. I'm just getting healthy and getting Jason Tatum back because he's so good.
Yeah,
that's more of a concern than just going on a little losing streak.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Well, we can wrap it up there, Brian. Any final thoughts before we log off here?
No, man. Fantastic show. Excited for next week. We'll be talking probably about the Big Ten tournament championship. And then Selection Sunday, which we can have a debate. I haven't done a bracket in probably 3 years. It's kind of lost its luster for me. So I'm a boomer, man. We can debate that. I don't
know, man. We might have, well, we'll have at least one top 5 team. Maybe Michigan State might be a top 10 team going in. It's exciting, man.
It's fun. It's exciting. I'm just not doing a bracket.
I don't know. Man, it takes like 2 minutes, man. Just fill it out.
You know when it changed for me? When Florida Atlantic and San Diego State and like teams that low made it to the Final Four. It's like,
what did you just say to start the whole show? You said that those days are over.
Well, now I agree. Now we can just pick 4 ones, and it's not as fun either.
You just do chalk.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, I've actually okay, when you don't wager or you don't have a bracket, and you're this team. I can. It's actually more fun to watch. Just watch the games and not stress out about it. It's fun to watch. Just a great game and not care who wins.
I agree with that at some point. But with having 2 really, really good teams, it's going to make it a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, it will.
All right, man. We'll wrap it up there for Coach Barnes. I'm Dan Murphy. This has been Inside the Coach's Office, and we'll see you again next week.